Well, and then of course, it's funny, like the year after I finished school, then there were guidelines that came out that women's symptoms of a heart attack were completely different than men. I'm like,
You're being sexist, let me tell you. You're being
so,
sexist.
no, that wasn't me. So I wanted to go back to that professor and say, okay, ML, do you see this? Right? So I was like, okay, I didn't have to say anything. I bet he was like, that night of the golden.
Through the day.
Okay, you guys, this meeting is being recorded.
For quality and training.
I call this meeting of the St. Paul Recovery Act Community Reparations Commission to order. Veronica will take the roll call. And we have Idmon here. This is her first time being here, so
Okay, taking the roll call, Chair Cruz,
here.
Vice Chair Kalia Pringle,
Here.
Steph Blodorn,
Yes. Here.
Jeremy English,
Here.
Isla Golden,
Here.
Idman Ibrahim. Here. Nick Khalik. Okay, Ray Boy. Nick Muhammad. Jamila Pitt, here. Carlo Robinson. Okay, let's see if we have a quorum. Here we have 7, so we have a quorum.
Okay, then
Chair, I would like to first have Idman Ibrahim introduce herself, since this is the first Reparations Commission meeting she's been at. And as other commissioners did at our first meeting, can you just take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself, and share why you're interested in the subject matter of reparations and what you hope a commission will accomplish?
Thank you. My name is Idman. I'm glad to be here. Sorry, I missed the first 2 meetings. I'm a student at I attend the University of Minnesota. Excuse me. So I graduated this past May. Minnesota State University of Mankato, and currently I'm a graduate student at the University of Minnesota. I was interested in this commissioner because I want to get involved in community advocacy, and I wanted to see change in because there's so much need in the community, and I hope we accomplished everything that we are trying to advocate for.
thank you, Veronica and Idmon. Commissioner Naira Golden will now read the labor acknowledgement.
we acknowledge that much of America, including its culture, economic growth, and development has been made possible by the forced free labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants who suffered the horror of the transatlantic slave trade, chattel slavery, Jim Crow segregation, and acts of racism, all culminating into modern-day disparities. We pay homage to these ancestors and ask that they guide the efforts of the Reparations Commissions to correct these wrongs for those who are living and for those who are yet born.
Thank you, Commissioner Golden. The next item of business is we will review the Reparations Legislative Advisory Committee Companion Report. Here I'll provide some context of what led up to the St. Paul Recovery Act Reparations Commission.
Okay, let me switch over to that presentation. You might have to do it this way. I forget how to Do the slideshow. I'll take that in a second. Okay.
On top, yeah,
Oh, do it here? Okay.
and from the beginning, yep. There we go.
All
Okay,
right.
good. And then
Advance
just,
it.
yeah. Enter the keyboard. Because we're entering the keyboard.
So on January 13, 2021, the St. Paul City Council passed Resolution 2177 that apologized for holding Dred Scott military slavery at Fort Snelling, apologized for the destruction of the Rondo community via the I-94 freeway, and apologized to St. Paul's role in practicing institutional racism against Black residents. It also set up a limited term legislative advisory committee that created the St. Paul Recovery Act Permanent Reparations Commission's ordinance. So the companion report basically gives us some of the thinking about how the decisions were made about the ordinance. So this is kind of like the thinking behind why we made some of the decisions that we made.
Just let me say next when you want me to hit next.
The Legislative Advisory Committee, we adopted some guiding principles, and those guiding principles were the United Nations principles on reparations. And those principles, those guiding principles are cessations or guarantees of non-repetition, restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, and satisfaction. We can go to the next one. Staff and budget. The Legislative Advisory Committee notes that work on the budgeting for the staffing in the commission should be initiated soon, ideally as part of the city's 2023 budget process and happen in conjunction with mayor and council consideration of the proposed ordinance language. So that was in 2023. Now we're in 2024, so we're trying to speed things along. We can go to that. The meetings, and some of the stuff we're already doing, and we're moving at a really good pace. Explicitly state meetings are to be open to the public. Strongly consider providing a standing agenda item each month, providing an opportunity for public input. Establish a public notification time period in advance of meetings such as 7 to 10 days. So we're doing, I think we're doing a good job from that. We can go next. Our powers and duties. The development of policies, plans, and programs and their evaluation require partnership between relevant city departments in the commission. The mayor and the city council should set the tone for this ongoing relationship. And at our first meetings, our first couple meetings, you see the president of the city council, you see Nika, and we see Shaniqua present.
Hey, real fast, Chair.
Can we, let me just finish real quick. If there's any questions. Yeah. Next. Compensation and Legislative Advisory Committee unequivocally recommends compensation be provided for commission members to offset expenses such as parking, childcare, time away from work, incurred related to the work of the commission. And this is a reparations commission. Our ancestors have worked for 280 years, and we don't want to continue to perpetuate that. Next slide. Community commentary. So we had virtual sessions with the Eastside Freedom Library, and those were April 7th and April 29th, 2022, with an estimated participation of approximately 125 to 150 individuals at the two events. And then we had two in-person sessions held at Dayton's Bluff, and this is coming right up out of COVID-19 too. In-person sessions held at Dayton's Bluff Recreation Center, April 14th at Rondo Library, April 21st, 2022, with an estimated participation of more than 50 individuals at the two events. Here we go to the next slide. A listening session feedback. The feedback that we got from the listening sessions was really good. And some of the highlights of that was the composition of the commission, the the people who participated wanted the commission to be people whose ancestors descend from U.S. chattel slavery, people who have lived experience, economists, activists, people who have been impacted by the racial wealth gap, historians, labor, so just a diverse group of people. And people who do understand the reparations issue and who are involved in community work like yourselves. The importance of genealogical research, finding out where we come from. Key recipients of reparations work in St. Paul, who is going to be the recipients of the Wellstone scholarship. The nature of reparations. We want ongoing education about the reparations issue, ongoing community participation and input, and then general comment. We can go to the next slide. We established a relationship with the St. Paul Public Library to create a comprehensive resource list for those who want to further educate themselves on the reparations issue. And so I think we can also continue that relationship and think about how best to use that. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yep, just one. I kind of just wanted to go through those powers and duties, just emphasizing that is kind of the broad base of why we're here. And just could you kind of elaborate on that, the powers and duties statement?
So, powers and the duties are for us to make short-term, medium, and long-term recommendations to the mayor and the city council on how to address the racial wealth gap in the city of St. Paul in addressing its legacy of discrimination or how it harmed Black people. So those are a big part of the powers and duties for the commission.
And as a point of information, you know, just look through your notebook. It has the ordinance in there. So again, just read through that ordinance, get yourself very familiarized with it. That pretty much gives the scope of, the powers and duties and our overall, I guess, mission.
And the companion report is in there too. Our next order of business is the adoption of the 2024 meeting schedule. Veronica, will you please present the schedule and describe what's left to decide?
Okay. Let's see if I get out of this. Sure. Okay, so now looking at your sheet here that looks at every fourth Wednesday. So again, when I surveyed everybody, it looked like, more said like the fourth Wednesday. And as I called others to see if that would work, looked like the fourth Wednesday of the month worked. And 6 p.m., till about 7:30, 8 o'clock, is kind of generally, but again, we only publish our start time. But that's kind of the general, I guess, range. And at least for today, I did find this location, and they were also available for the rest of the year. I contacted the Rondo Library. They weren't available for this day, and they only allow you to kind of reserve the room, I think about like 2 months in advance. And I also checked the Jimmy Lee Rec Center. They just didn't have the technology, that we needed. And where else did I check? I tried to get to like Metro State Library. I know they have a really nice space, but it was kind of hard to get in through to them. And then I think one other space I had looked at, I can't remember. But then I kind of came upon this location, And they said you could book for the entire year out. They had this day available. I checked all the other, fourth Wednesdays of the month, and this was available. So again, this is up for discussion. We can at least, kind of hold this if you don't want me to keep searching around. I'm fine with doing that, but at least we have something that's, reserved.
Is there any discussion?
I think there should be, in regards to the days, it's good that we establish the days. So the dates are kind of set in tone, which is very, which is good, because now we at least understand what dates we're gonna meet on and times. I do kind of feel like, there should be some questions about where we meet at. Especially understanding, the commission that we are and, what we're planning on doing as a commission. So, I think we all should, definitely take a look at, the availability, especially of, when it comes down to locations that, do have, American descendants of chattel slavery. We definitely want to make sure that we are visible for that too, as well. I think, this is a very convenient place to meet, which is very good, but, we definitely need to, be visible to the people that we're serving.
So based on that, what suggestions do you have? And again, I like this area. Again, it is non-white per se. And there is bus line and all of that. I think about that from time to time. So if the public are coming, as well as parking here. I agree with you as far as being located in a space that is visible and will get the community talking and knowing that we are about the business of the community and trying to make some changes and recommendations that will have an impact. Do you have a suggestion as far as the location?
Have you checked out the Hayden Brown Center?
I tried to get in touch with Hallie Q, but I wasn't successful, but that could be another place that I can kind of continue to follow up with, yes.
And there are, again, there are like Dayton's Bluff Recreation Center. The east side of St. Paul, definitely.
Yeah, the library, I think it's, Payne in Maryland, Payne in Arlington up there.
That was the other one I did check.
I know they have the tech
Yeah, they do.
and they have a really nice space. That I know. I don't know
Yeah.
about the availability.
That
But
was
they got the
problem.
space, they got the tech. I
Yeah,
know
that was the other location and they were booked almost throughout the whole year.
Not surprised.
And I know that Arlington Library, right there on Payne in Maryland.
That's what we're talking.
Yeah, is that the one you guys were talking about?
Yeah.
Isn't there another library right there? I want to say, the East Side Library?
East Side Freedom,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's kind of around the corner up the block.
Yep.
Okay. And free?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I asked that, yeah.
Well, it would be within their mission.
Yeah.
It would be the
For the
kind of thing
library,
that's
yeah.
their mission.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know about the money, but
right.
it's their mission.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yes, I think that one consideration we might give, and we can certainly say, we've got a general meeting place. I think we're allowed to do some special meetings as well, so it's not like this is the scope of the meetings that we'll hold. But I was thinking that two things. One, if we are making proposals to the city council, there are several wards. And it might be in our interest to look at having a meeting in each of the wards of the city so that we can say we have held meetings in each ward and therefore given residents of each ward an opportunity to weigh in, hear what's happening, and understand what this commission is trying to achieve. And the second thing is that, in my mind, it really would behoove the commission and the goal to actually hold meetings in as many Black businesses as we can. And I recognize that that's challenging in terms of saying they don't have the technology to record these because we have to make sure that the record of these meetings is available to the public. But nevertheless, it seems to me that if we're not looking at Black churches, if we're not looking at Black businesses in general, we're missing an opportunity to share this information and the deliberations with the folks we're supposed to be essentially focused on. So that's just a couple of suggestions as we think about meeting places.
Mr. Khalid. Are there any more thoughts, comments? I'd just like to say that, we have regular meetings, but then like, again, we had those hearings too. So those were like special meetings and they were just dedicated to us listening to the community too. So those will definitely be, need to be in places like church. Businesses. So I think this is good for now.
Got you one minute.
And if we want to keep looking, we can keep looking, but. Any more thoughts or discussion? So is there a motion to adopt the meeting schedule?
I so move. A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Can I ask one question, Chair? I'm sorry, I forgot to also add, the only conflict we had of the fourth Wednesday was one holiday, Christmas. So, you know, it may help me as I still kind of look around for other locations. Would you want to still meet that Christmas week and maybe instead meet, Christmas is the 25th, meet Monday at 6 or after Christmas, Thursday? So that's the only other, you know, point that we gotta, you know, I really need some direction on.
Can you send around the piece to poll everybody and see where we are?
Yeah.
That's a tough time of year
Yeah,
for people. But if we just got a sense of what everybody's schedule feels like, we might be able to find a
okay, so you want me to
for
poll
that
that?
December meeting, yeah.
Okay,
If the schedule passes,
okay, thank you.
and so our next agenda item is adoption of Robert's rules as interim bylaws as we just flesh out our bylaw. Our next order of business is the adoption of the Robert's rules as interim bylaws until we have officially adopted a permanent set of bylaws. And the materials emailed to you were cheat sheets we can use to help guide our decision making until that point. As a point of information, Veronica and Julia and I met with the city clerk to review and highlights. And so Veronica's going to go over what we discussed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do believe that, you know, maybe one of our first or second meetings, people were talking about, you know, as we were kind of fumbling through Robert's rules or whatever, if there's a cheat sheet, some cheat sheets out there. So the city clerk, you know, presented both Kulia, myself, and Traren with some cheat sheets. I found another one too. I thought kind of gave a nice little, you know, glimpse of how to do motions and all of that jazz. But I wanted to at least maybe touch on this particular cheat sheet because I think it summarizes everything. And that way we can all be on the same page along with the, you know, the orientation that both Kulia and Trahern got. So again, as we kind of work through Robert's rules, you know, I guess you can maybe even say Robert's rules light, not like we're experts or anything, but just to get us going. Robert's Rules is essentially parliamentary procedure conducting orderly meetings that accomplish goals fairly. Benefits of those meetings include justice and courtesy for all, consideration of one item at a time. So let's be sure that we kind of stay on that. All sides get heard. So if you're for an issue or against the issue or position, let's just kind of hear both perspectives. Ability for each member to provide input. So if you so feel you want to provide your input, maybe you're a really quiet person, maybe you're a boisterous person, but you have something you want to say, please put it on the table. This parliamentary is, essentially majority rule. It's a protection of all rights of members, including those who are in the minority. Its basic principles: a quorum must be present for any business to be conducted. All members have equal rights, privileges, and obligations. No person shall speak until recognized by the chair. So we finally elected our chair, and we have to all go through the chair to get permission to speak. And there are some exceptions if you look through that particular cheat sheet. Only one question at a time may be considered, and only one person may have the floor at one time. I know sometimes it could get hard to kind of follow the discussion because everyone wants to get their point on the table. But if we can just kind of keep the table clear and just present one item at a time. Full and free discussion of every main motion is a basic right. So, we could chew on something for as long as we want or as little as we want. A majority decides the question except when basic rights of members are involved or a rule provides otherwise. So, as we continue down accepting of our bylaws, sometimes our bylaws may have some exceptional rules that might be particular to what we want to do and see. And so that's when we can veer from Robert's rules or maybe some other kind of set of standardized rules we want to use. Silence gives consent. So if you're not speaking up, those that are raising their voices, putting in their vote, that's it's counting. The chair should always remain impartial. So again, try to balance, the voices of everyone, whether they're for an issue or against. Some basic definitions: motion is a formal proposal made to bring a subject before an assembly for its consideration or an action. And it begins by saying, I move that. Second, a statement for a member who agrees that the motion made by another member be considered, stated as I second or I second the motion. Amendment: before the vote is taken on a motion, it may be amended by striking out words, inserting or adding words, striking out words or inserting others in their place, substituting a paragraph or resolution for another. Presiding officer of the chair, the individual who facilitates the meeting, as in our case, the chair, and in absence of the chair would be the vice chair. And if neither are present, the secretary, which we don't have, but we can even elect at that point of someone to play that role. Role of presiding officer: to introduce business in a proper order per the agenda. So follow the agenda. Recognize the speakers. Determine if a motion is in order. Keep the discussion focused on the pending motion. So sometimes we may want to interject a whole nother topic that's somewhere else on the agenda, or it may not be on the agenda at all. But, our job here to run an orderly meeting is to keep the discussion on that motion. And maintain order. This is a public forum, a public setting. It's being recorded. So even community members or whomever else can go into our recording and see our minutes and our meeting recordings. So, maintaining order is very significant, whether it's public or not. It's just good policy and good decorum. To keep discussions, let me see, where am I? To put motions to a vote and announce the results. So when we're putting motions to a vote, we want to publicly announce those results. General procedures for handling a motion. A member must obtain the floor by being recognized by the chair. A member makes a main motion. A motion must be seconded by another member before it can be considered. If the motion is in order, the chair will restate the motion and open debate. The maker of the motion has the right to speak first in the debate. The main motion is debated along with any secondary motions that are debatable. Debate on subsidiary, privilege, and incidental motions, if debatable or amendable, take precedence over debate over the main motion and must be decided before debate on the main motion can continue. Debate is closed when discussion has ended or 2/3 vote closes that debate. The chair restates the motion and if necessary, clarifies the consequences of an affirmative or a negative vote. The chair calls for a vote by asking all in favor. Those in favor say aye, then asking all opposed. Those who are opposed say no. The chair announces the results. General rules of debate. For small boards or groups such as ourselves, all discussion must be relevant to the pending question. No member should speak more than twice to each debatable motion. The second time takes place after everyone wishes to debate the motion has had the opportunity to speak once. So go around once, and after that has happened, you want to speak again, then, that would be afterwards. No member should speak more than twice to each debatable motion. Did I read that one? I read that, okay. All remarks should be addressed to the chair. No cross debate is permitted. Debate must address issues and not personalities. I know sometimes it can get heated and you want somebody to think exactly like you and but let's try to stick to the issue itself. Because sometimes we just got different perspectives. We just didn't see someone else's point of view. And it may take some time to get there, if you even get there. Where am I? When possible, the chair should let the floor alternate between those speaking in support and those speaking in opposition to the motion. Members may not disrupt the assembly or the body. Rules of debate can be changed by a 2/3 vote of general consent without objection.
There was some discussion, and maybe I missed part of it, about the quorum. And did we ever come up with a number based on the number of members that we have?
For 7.
We have a body of 11 and a quorum is half plus 1. So that would be 6, 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't be 6.5, so I guess. Sorry, or 5.5 and, yeah.
So do you round it up to 7?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Feels like we can decide that.
50% plus 1, right?
Half plus 1. So what's half? Oh, yeah, because it's an odd number.
We have 11, 5.5.
Okay.
This one is
6.5,
and you round up to 7.
Yeah.
You said it before, I think.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Trace
So then
7.
7. Okay. Yeah.
So do we add that to?
Yeah. Yeah, we can add that. We can probably add that directly into the bylaws as we even go through that, just so that it's clear. But when we get to that point.
Any more discussion?
We're looking for a motion.
I don't know if this is,
Accept the recommendation.
I don't know if this is a point of order or information or whatever, but we're just doing this to have something that we can run with so we can continue our business for this meeting. So when the rules of order question comes up, when we're actually looking at the bylaws, that could be another discussion.
Right,
That's all. Thank you.
is there a motion to second? Is there a motion in second to adopt Robert's Rules of Order until the commission bylaws are established?
I move that we second,
She got to,
I move that we second the motion. We adopt the Robert's Rules of Order.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes. So this, our next, discussion, we're gonna talk about our permanent bylaws, and you guys should all have a copy. And I think we're going to review the ones that Ray, worked on. We'll go through them section by section.
Okay, let me find that. Oh, to be right, okay.
Oh, and then before the final adoption of the bylaws, we'll have the, city attorney review the bylaw before we adopt it. So we're gonna start with, section 1. And, please take a look at those, and then, we'll see if anybody wants to make any changes or take a look at it. And that's under section 1, the name of this commission. Are there, any changes or discussion? And then take the, look at section 2. And, that's gonna deal with the purpose.
And just want to make a statement if I could. Sections 1, 2, and 3 came directly out of the ordinance. So that I don't believe there's a change in the language, but please check that. But that's just so you know that's where it's from. So that's not something I created. I just copied it from the ordinance to here.
Okay.
Are we just looking for questions or comments? at this point?
Questions, comments?
So here's a question. Having very recently looked at Evanston, Asheville, and state of California, efforts in this direction. My question is, because if I'm reading this correctly, this is generational wealth, which is great. But memory, and don't shoot me if I didn't remember this rightly, because I don't trust my own memory that much either. But there could be other concerns besides generational wealth.
Mhm.
And I'm going to give health, and I'm going to give education as 2. I think I might be able to pull as many as 5 out of my head from memory, but I'm just really asking the question, and I'm taking too long to say this. Are we going to just limit this to generational wealth? And it is just a question for me, just a question.
No, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so I see the things that you've mentioned in the purpose component, where powers and duties are kind of the actions that we would work on that would help to manifest or to impact health and home ownership and education.
Okay.
Sorts of things. That's how I interpret it, because it is listed as far as the purpose, and so that is stated prior to anything else. So that's mine.
second what Martha just said, second what she just said, because that's exactly what the purpose looks like, you know.
Any more comments, discussion? So, we can take a vote
Mhm.
on sections 1 through 4.
Well,
Section 4, we didn't.
yeah, I got a question on section 3.
Oh, section 3.
Yeah. But is everyone okay with 1 and 2? Leaving that the same? There's consensus on that?
Well,
On 3 too.
I kind of want to hear what did you have to say about 3, because it may impact as far as
Okay,
how, because I see 2 and 3 going together.
gotcha.
So
Okay,
that's what I'm waiting for.
okay, well, my only question, Ms. Chair, is, I think too, in the ordinance, it is a bit more descriptive, I do believe, with the powers and duties. And I didn't know, Ray, as you were putting this together, if you wanted to include all the other powers and duties. So if you look at the St. Paul Recovery Act Reparations Commission ordinance that's in your packet or in your notebook. So if you don't have your notebook with you. Let me see, I don't know if I can pull that up real quick. But it has in there powers and duties. Powers and duties, it lists, it has A through F, and it looked like you just kind of had A. So shall establish a work plan is B, shall develop time-based evaluations of city expenditures is C, D, review and advise the city, and all the way down through E. So I just wanted to know, if we should include all of that into the bylaws, or if what you have suffice.
Yeah, I think you can include all of it. The reason I did this is because when we had the agenda set, it said, let's talk about bylaws, and we didn't have anything to look at. And so I wanted this draft in front of us so we wouldn't, just be talking with nothing to
Right.
refer to. And so now that we look at this, I think that's the purpose of this conversation, is to take from there whatever you think needs to be in there.
Okay.
And I'm not opposed to putting the entire set of things in here. I just wanted us to have, kind of a starting point, something on paper to look at.
So I would, I can't make a motion. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay,
So can I make a motion that we, take the powers and duties, that we have in section 3, and what we do is we morph, what the ordinance powers and duties are into section 3 to make sure that we establish those as our powers and duties?
That would be 11205. Powers and duties in
11205, correct.
11205.
Yep, but I have them right here, though. I don't have a number for it, though. I just have the list of the powers. and duties.
I'm here to help.
Oh, that sounds good.
In the car, because I was late, I forgot it was in the
When
backseat.
you talk, please say stat, and then we'll use that as the order that we'll speak.
So I second the motion that Commissioner English brought to bring in the ordinance language from the powers of duty through the Legislative Advisory Council into our draft bylaws.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, no.
You got it.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passed. So,
It's an email too.
and then do we want? Okay, so then we'll look at section 3.
4. Section 4.
We all agreed on section 3.
We'll just take the ordinance and speak it.
All right, we'll look at section 4.
We'll have to change the location. Or such place as the.
So, we'll have to check, like, Coolio said, we'll have to change the location that's written in here to, like, El Rio.
Yeah.
No, again, because you guys were sending me back to the drawing board to kind of, you know, still broaden the scope and look at other locations, you know, Black churches, businesses, some other locations, and present those to the group. So in terms of a consistent meeting location, that's just unknown at this point. But I do believe earlier, Ray was saying that at least we kind of have a kind of a standard location. But.
No, I was just saying,
Discuss that.
given what we voted on earlier, I'm sorry.
Think about it.
Oh,
All I was gonna say is that I'm wondering if it's possible for us to insert in here that we would have a meeting place that represents the community out in the community. And when not available, we would meet at 300 City Hall Annex, and to have that piece of a place that is available for the community, in the community. And that would be our regular meeting place with the announcements prior to, so that it indicates, we don't know where it's going to be, but we will have a regular meeting. And this is why we don't know what it's going to be. And in the event that that does not exist, we will meet at City Hall. I would suggest, and again, that needs to be wordsmithed, but
And my question is, the 5-day meeting notice for emergency meetings, would that give us cover under the public meeting law? I know the city attorney and others talked about it. So many of us are together and so forth, so.
Yeah, that could definitely be a question that I asked the city attorney, but I do believe that as Ray kind of put this draft together, he looked at kind of, you know, a couple of the other existing commissions. And so some of that language in there is kind of standard. So I think we should be covered, but again, we could double check that, you know, as the attorney go through that, and I'll make a point to do that.
Any more discussion? And, so do we wanna, what Naira said, create a motion of, does anybody want to create a motion for that? Or we need to correct wording?
yeah, we need to change the wording on that. And I would think it'd be something like, the Reparations Commission shall conduct a meeting when a place in the community is not available. So say it like that instead of kind of around, you know, but as far as the actual, again, it took me words, I'm just trying to use less words.
yeah. And one other way to do this, because these are our bylaws and operating rules. And so I guess one question would be, do we really need to have an address in here? The key here in this section is to say we're having, and we can change the heading, so it just says the Reparations Commission meetings. And we can say the Reparations Commission shall conduct meetings the fourth Wednesday of every month at a location to be determined. You know, I'm not sure that it's necessary to put an exact address in this section. The more critical question in my mind is we have the day of the month that we're meeting and the time. And if that goes in there, we can do what you were suggesting.
Yeah.
We can find that location, and in our agendas, that location is going to be identified in advance.
I know you're supposed to alternate between the pros and the cons, but I'm actually with Ray. And I like the idea of saying that we meet monthly, but if we don't have to commit to a place or the fourth Wednesday, we know that. And the pattern will become apparent. but there may be cases like December 25th where we may elect to meet on other than a Wednesday because it's a special case. So I know I'm breaking the rhythm, but I'm with Ray on this.
If we just use the stack.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
For the clarification, if you live on the east side, you can say that's our community. If you live on the west side, it's their community, some of you. So how do we define community when you speak of having a meeting in the community?
When we talked about this before you came, that the possibility of meeting in each of the wards so that we can actually be out in everybody's community.
Okay, so
So it would be that piece. So
okay.
that was
So you
kind
would
of,
add that to it, meeting and having a meeting.
well, we hadn't finalized that, but, I guess. And again, it needs to be clarified, but when I think of in the community, I mean, government facility.
I got it. Okay.
So that's what, again. So.
Cause they include libraries and community centers.
Just pick.
Yeah,
I mean, because they are government.
because they're accessible to the community, like government business is not conducted there. You don't go there to pay a ticket, you don't go there to.
We're not supposed to be debating and your reference is supposed to
Oh,
be to the.
I'm
chair,
sorry.
and then you gotta Ask the chair.
Thank you for clarifying.
No
Let's
problem.
just use the stack. But we have,
I don't know what that means. How do you do
the
that?
stack, if you wanna say something, just say stack, and then we'll say, this person's on stack first, and this person's on stack second, third, and fourth.
Okay.
Ms. Pitts.
I just wanted to add, this is just more of a comment as well, as like when we're thinking about the community and we're thinking about our community in Minnesota and in the Twin Cities, a lot of our population is highly mobile as well, and they get put in places that might not necessarily be considered like the community. They kind of sometimes have to be living where they can find a place, and sometimes it's not really easily accessible by like public transportation. I'm thinking about like the southeast side of St. Paul is really hard to get access through public transportation. It's also hard to like for the folks over there to even get to like grocery stores and such. So I just am kind of like backing that idea of like being in different areas of the community so that we are able to to touch more like people and be able to be more accessible to those folks. Because if we are thinking of like the stereotype of in the community, it might not be accessible for folks that are stuck somewhere that they just have to be at that time.
I do wanna, just make a point that, Ray again made this draft, and so nothing in here is set in stone. He just has, again, gave us something to look at, so we can say whatever we want. We don't have to say in community. We don't have to list an address. I like the idea of a general, we're meeting the fourth Wednesday of the month. If there's a holiday, we may adjust that and locations will be determined.
You turn stack. Well, I'm glad I did that the way. Can we turn that into a motion?
Well, I think we're still
Discuss.
discussing it, so we're still, I would have a motion or on the floor, so if we want to combine it or kind of combine what Naira was saying with what you guys are saying.
Back. I'm,
And then,
okay.
Mr. Kalika, then, no.
I'm wondering if we could go through this document, make the necessary recommendation, and then vote on it as a whole. Instead of,
Going section by
piece by
section.
piece. And give folks a chance, don't have to vote on the whole,
We gotta let the city attorney look at it first, right?
pardon me?
We can't vote until the city attorney looks at it.
We can just go.
So that's even more reason for us to not make motions, just to go through it with our recommendations. And give the committee a chance to review, even some of the folks that may not be here tonight. And then make their suggestions or recommendations to Veronica, and then that would be the document that would be passed on to the city attorney.
Yeah, and let me just say, it will be helpful for me that if I know that there is a general consensus from the group on this is our agreed upon draft language, then I can take that to the city attorney who will look and make sure that it's in compliance with the ordinance and whatever other kind of magic they do behind the scenes. So, so I would say let's, hash it out here. And that way I have something to say, this is beyond Ray's vision. This is the group's draft vision.
And
And,
then bring it back.
and then I
after
can,
they sign
correct, and you can
off, and
adopt
then
the whole shebang
After the city attorney reviews it and signs off.
and make any
Recommendation.
recommend.
And then, well, if we approve it, we approve it. If we don't, we'll add, we need to add before we get.
And then maybe even make footnotes if there's opposition to it, with an explanation why. To see where the city attorney falls on.
Okay.
So we won't be voting or moving on each section. We're just gonna go through each section.
With a consensus.
At the end, as we go through, we will give feedback to each
Right.
other. Veronica will take. And then come back and then we look at it again, go through it again,
Yeah,
and then approve it.
yeah, but I would say again, give me, your consensus on, yeah, this is the direction we collectively want to go with this section or, this entire article or this section is something that's still kind of debatable. And then I can give the whole draft 2. Let's just call this draft 2. Ray's was draft 1. Let's call this draft 2. This is the draft that everyone has kind of agreed that works collectively. And give it to the attorney. And, if there's any other nuances she make, if you're okay with that, we could adopt the entire set of bylaws.
I think, yeah, it's important that, because we've already kind of took a look at this already. So we're kind of, going through the nuances of it. So we kind of know this. It's just some adjustments that need to be made. I have some questions, still, with some of this, but I think this could be voted on today. So, I mean, not necessarily voted on, but this could be finalized today in regards to us taking a look at this and not having to revisit it. I think that, if anybody has any concerns with this, they should raise it today, because we've already looked at this. We looked at this at the last, meeting, and we had discussions about this at the last meeting. There are some, pieces in here that can be adjusted. Ray did an excellent job, but I think that we need to finalize our information on this today.
And can I just add in that I agree with what you're saying, but the city, we still will have to have the clerk, or
Yeah.
it still will have to be looked at by the city attorney and finalized. So if we can, get some consensus today. And then even if we need to, like a group, if we want to have a group of us work on it. And after this meeting, up to the next meeting, kind of like a subcommittee. It's that, I don't know if that's something we can do. I mean, like, we'll get consensus today, but then just do like, as we're working next, after the meeting, have a few people like that, just kind of stay working on it. Just to make sure that when next meeting that we're done and that we have this done.
I got a sad face, sorry, or stack.
Yeah.
Oh, my body language is probably working here. I'm getting really caught up in a lot of bureaucracy from my job and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm starting to feel like this is kind of like that, and I've, and I could be wrong, but I think we are kind of on the same page as far as what's here. It is just a little bit of minutia that probably is not going to make a difference. But we do wanna, we are kind of in agreement, but it's like moving this here and I'll add this part in there. To make it more detailed, when kind of the general overall, I don't wanna say less is more, but the overall intention of what we're doing and how we move in these bylaws is gonna allow us to deal with the things that are granular, but underneath the canvas of the generality. And so we don't need to list out everything.
Mm.
Sometimes that gets you into problems. So I'm just thinking about that, and because I feel like it's gonna keep going back
Yeah.
and forth in the process of
Yeah.
sit and just, it can really bog you down. So I'm concerned about that.
We have Mr. English, Veronica, and then Ray.
I think, I have some questions real fast about these bylaws real quick. If we can just kind of jump to, like, for example, is it Article 5, the committees? Because again, we've already kind of taken a look at these bylaws. When it comes down to, um, the standing committees and the community outreach standing committees and the educational standing committees, I moved to strike all of that language, because it didn't have, the legislative advisory, committee didn't have any of that, any of those committees going on.
So before we jump to that, let's just go article by article.
Okay.
And so we can just go to, do we agree with Article 1? And so I think in Article 1, we're still dealing with, the locations and meeting time and things like that. So if we can get some kind of consensus on that, I think we had some good ideas on where we were at with that, as far as not having, a location listed, but we have the dates, we have the times. It seemed like we were kind of all in agreement on some of that language.
That,
Yes.
if you say you meet monthly, and if you let the time and the place be determined, because Veronica's wonderful schedule is just for the rest of this year, and we're supposed to be perpetual. So I'm back to where Ray was at with the idea that, a general, you meet, you have a regular monthly meeting. I love the idea of trying to get into each ward. But from what Veronica says she's experienced, there could be situations where there just isn't a venue in that ward that fits the schedule. So that's I guess that's my 2 cents worth, is to keep it general. The main points are you're going to meet monthly. That's your regular business meeting is monthly. Time and place to be determined. And Veronica's schedule doesn't have to be in the bylaws. It's an adopted motion.
Any discussion?
I think that to the extent that this becomes a public document, that one thing that would be important is to let the public know what day of the month we're meeting. And so that part, I think, should be in there. And even if we add the language that the day and of the month that we're meeting, that's set for our regular meetings, can change annually. And that would respect the fact that this is an ongoing commission, so nobody expects that would be rigid in perpetuity, right? But to alert the public who will be looking online to say, what's the commission doing? When do they meet? As long as we know it's the fourth Wednesday of the month in this paragraph, I think that's key. And it doesn't lock us in forever, because as always, the commission gets to alter these bylaws or amend them as needed. But I do think it makes sense to alert the public that this is the day that regular meetings will be held.
Okay, and then this will be, Veronica and then Kalik, and then this will be our last comments because I think a lot of us have spoken more than twice.
Yeah.
On this.
Yeah, and this is just a point of information. I am working with the technology department and, looking at how to even revamp maybe our website. On the website, we can list more of those details and that can change a lot more regularly as needed. So we can put the fourth, of the month. I mean, it can still be in the bylaws, but it doesn't have to be. It can still just be meet monthly. But on the website, we can have the fourth Wednesday, and these are the Wednesdays. These are the consistent locations, the varying locations, what have you. So more of the nuances can go on the website. So just
Okay.
FYI.
Can we direct people where to go to get the information about the meeting, the upcoming meeting?
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
and that will be on the website.
Most definitely.
Okay.
And I was gonna say most definitely, and I'd recommend that, any kind of social media, radio or podcast or church, that we would let them know. So they
So-
can show.
Do we kind of have consensus on Article 1?
Yes,
Okay, so are you guys in agreement that we can move to Article 2?
yes.
Okay. Please, let's go over.
Thank you.
Let's go over Article 2, Section 1.
I want to just the whole, look over
We'll just look at the
Article
whole Article.
2. And if you have an issue, state it or ask the chair if he could speak.
This is a stack.
Back yourself with the chair.
Stack. Any,
I'm reading ahead, don't pay any attention to me.
okay, go ahead. Just do it, let them go.
You wanna wait until we're done reading before we can ask questions?
Just say stack. Is everybody, go ahead.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Seeing people reading ahead, you were just supposed to do Article 2. People, I'm looking at it like.
Any discussion? Is there any discussion on Article 2?
On the provision that deals with special meeting, the chair can call for a special meeting without the support of 2/3, 1/3 of the board or the commission.
Which number is that?
Is five. Am I reading that right?
Special meeting was 6. There was a spokesperson?
I'm sorry, number 6. I said 5, 6.
Stack.
call a special meeting.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I don't see any, it doesn't say. It doesn't say.
2/3. Says the chair of the commission is authorized to before the next page, and that is out of the.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the chair of the Reparations Commission.
Is authorized to.
And I think, but does it say, in here, does it say how many, people, right?
It says it in a different, it says it in Article 3, or yeah, 3, Section 2. It says a minimum of 5 members. And I highlighted that, I know we're going ahead with this, but I highlighted it because I was, because I was wondering about that, because that's different than the 2/3 or whatever that we had talked about earlier.
So yeah, make another recommendation that we change to 7.
Jack,
Let's go.
thank you. We were supposed to do Article 2. So if we can, I would like to keep it to that, so then we can actually move forward and have conversation, because then it gets all mixed up, I feel. I feel as though it gets mixed up if we are jumping from the article to article. And it confuses me as far as the consistency of the topic.
I understand. I just think he asked a question about that, and then the answer to that is in the next. Is in Article 3. Okay.
I was unprepared because I only read Article 2 as requested.
So are we, is there consensus about Article 2?
Is there supposed to be a change? Okay, I missed that. What do you want me to change that?
Well, we just wanted to,
My uncle Commissioner Nick said that number 6 is, he's wondering about number 6.
Just wanted clarification, that's all.
Because, because it makes it confusing for, if it says 6 here, it says call special meetings requiring action to regular scheduled commission meetings. So it says one thing in this article, and then when you read it later, it specifies more. So it can be confusing if it says it a different way here and then says it another way later on.
Stack.
That's why the question was asked.
Can we just move it? I mean, like, again, this is Ray's draft. We can take it out and eliminate the confusion.
so we'll take.
Yeah, why don't we
Number
take
6
number
out.
6
Number
out?
6 out.
Okay.
Because it's kind of repetitive, I guess,
Yep.
confusing me, so. Okay.
So we'll take 6 out. Is there any more discussion?
Stack.
Commissioner English?
I have a question about number 7. But I just need some clarification. If it can be simplified a little bit.
Okay,
To what?
good.
Sorry.
I'm just wondering if this language could be simplified in the sentence. Does anybody have any questions about it? If not, we can move on.
I'm kind of wondering what doesn't work about it for you. Because that would help, at least that would help me to kind of think about how to simplify it, or what is too much, or what's confusing about it.
Stat.
Ray and then.
I mean, if it's talking about. It's talking about the chair being, being in support of the commission's work plan as needed on an annual basis, that's cool. I just have a question when it says appointment members of committee. So is that the chair that's doing that?
Yes.
Okay, that's the only question I had, basically, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, if if the chair decided that reviewing these bylaws is too cumbersome in this process and wanted to appoint two people to redraft it.
I just wanted to
That
make sure,
gives him the authority to do that.
I mean, I just wanted to make sure I was just clear
We're
about
almost
that.
there.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was clear about
Okay.
it, because it was a question.
Ms. Pickett?
I just had a quick suggested edit because I do notice a lot of repetition already, and so something that I would recommend is taking out anything that's repeated multiple times in here.
Yes, absolutely. That causes confusion.
Okay, so
Okay, so you're asking to take out number 7?
No, no, actually, you can just move to vote on Article 2, I think.
are we all in agreement? Is there
Well, that would include removing number 7.
No,
No.
no,
removing number 6? I believe.
6,
Six,
yeah,
yeah.
strike.
Oh,
number
6,
Talking about deleting.
That's okay. And we got that in, I got that in.
right.
I'm sorry. I did have one other, and, or consideration that service spokesperson, this is number 5, service spokesperson and representative of the commission to the public. Do you want some kind of clause in there to maybe say something about consult with the commission before serving as the spokesperson, or
No,
No, I will,
or is it good enough?
if I was to speak on as a representative of the commission, I would consult and say I do not. Yeah, I don't think we need to put that.
You know, this is,
Why did you say so? Not the authority.
Stack.
yeah, I was just gonna say that, this language is here in part to say, if the media contacts, want a statement from the commission, should everybody do that, or should it be our chair? And we really need to be careful about that, because it will happen. And if we're all saying something different, then we do come off to the public as if we don't know what we're talking about. And so the idea was that we have a chair, we have a spokesperson. And when it comes to making an official statement of what this body is doing to the media, to the city council, to the mayor, I think that should come from the chair. And that's the only thing it's saying. It's not saying because we are going to be working with our chair to state our positions. And the question is, who's communicating those decisions to the public and the folks that need to hear it? And I just think it avoids having each individual one of us authorized to go and make statements, because that, I believe, will get us in trouble.
Any more?
Yeah, it's a stack. And again, I think when we looked at the roles and responsibilities of the chair and vice chair, it was my understanding that was part of it, that he was be the representative of the commission, externally, in whatever, scenario that might be. So that was my understanding when I voted.
Okay, so are we in consensus with Article 2?
Yes.
Okay, Julia Pringle's going to, Commissioner Pringle's gonna lead us through Article 3.
All right, so we're gonna look at Article 3. If we can read over Article 3, if there's anything that you want to suggest, switch, take out, replace.
Stat,
Stat.
I yield my stat to the Honorable Miss Pickett.
Okay, well, I just wanted to, this is just quick. All I'm saying is, section 1, I think is one of those repetitive things with Article 1, section 4. And then, on section 2, we striked out, number 6 in section 2, but in Article 2, but in section 3, Article 2, the special meetings, that's where it says that a minimum of 5 members need to agree, and that's different language, or that's a different number than we've been using as a standard for other areas.
Agreed. So should we add 7 in
Yes,
section 1?
Yes. Oh, section
Section
2,
2.
strike section 1 altogether is what she said, because it's repetitive.
That. Can we consider going back to Article 1, delete section 4 of Article 1 altogether? And that would make this under meetings where it says regular meetings, then that would be the place to keep.
The general.
Yeah. Does that make sense? I mean, we just have to change first Monday to fourth Wednesday. But that means we, to your point, we wouldn't need section 4 of Article 1. We could delete section 4 of Article 1 and reduce the repetitiveness and keep under meetings, section 1, regular meetings, that language with the adjustments for fourth Wednesday of every month.
that's what I would wordsmith it to.
Are we in agreement with that?
Okay, Chair, can you restate so I know what to do here?
Striking section 4.
Striking section 4,
Taking out
Article 1.
Article 1, yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything here.
Yeah.
Okay, and in Article 3, just take out first Monday and put fourth Wednesday under regular meeting, section 1.
And if you want to change that to just the start time, you can do that.
Yeah. And then did you get to change to section 2?
Strike section or strike number 6 from Article
No, Article 3, sorry, section 2.
Article 3, section 2.
Okay,
Okay,
number for a quorum is 7.
okay. Okay.
That's 5. Just you
Changing
did
the
that.
5 from,
Oh, section 5, manner of voting.
no.
No, go back up,
There's-
section 2, yep. And in there, it says
The
5.
4th line down.
Okay, 7.
Yep.
What are we doing now?
We're inserting I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that's 7
7 instead of,
present.
yeah, call.
That represents a quorum.
Is there any more discussion on Article 3? Sorry, Uncle Dennis.
So I know it's 11,
Yeah,
but if, say 9, show what's the vote on still the majority?
So you can have 7 people to vote on something and it's considered a quorum. So then that would pass if everybody voted for that. That's my interpretation of this.
Everybody meaning everybody
The
present.
7, if 7 people showed up for the meeting,
Be a majority of the 7.
that would. But that's not
That's
my
what I'm-
understanding of, that's my understanding.
Majority of the 7, or is it all 7 present?
All 7 present because it is a quorum.
But you still, well, on some boards, you can still have a quorum, but it's the majority present that carries the day.
Okay,
But-
well, again, that was my understanding. That's what I've experienced when I
Let's-
voted on things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I say
That's the
spell
chair.
it out so that it's clear in these bylaws, because it
Is it a city attorney question?
can get
I
confusing.
think, I think that's the.
You say it is in the mail? Where is it at?
Well,
We're talking about section 3 quorum, right?
Discussing vote.
Just to be able to do a meeting. Say,
yeah,
Okay.
I think section
weren't talking
5
about
talks
voting,
about
we're
manner of
talking about-
voting.
It says majority of those present.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it
Okay.
says, majority of those present.
Yeah.
You have to have a quorum
Right,
to do the business.
so it doesn't have to be 7.
I hadn't read that far ahead. I was still on
Oh.
section 2. This is what I'm telling you guys, keep like jumping around and it's, at least for me, it's confusing. So
No, it's still in the same article.
We're in the same article.
I understand that, but I haven't gotten, I didn't take the Evan Woods speak course.
Are we clear? Is that? Okay.
So we just jump around a little bit. Where are we at now?
We're still on Article 3,
Yeah. We just,
all of Article 3, so if you could take the time to read.
In
through.
section what in Article?
We're just reading all of Article 3, so all of the sections in Article 3, and if you have an issue with any of the sections, now's the time to bring it up.
Okay, thank you.
Just had a question. This process of doing, this is one of the reasons I wanted to have something in writing, so we'd actually have something to chew on. But I recognize that this is a really cumbersome process that takes an enormous amount of time.
we're almost,
And so if it's possible, I would say there's two things we could do. One, we could have a group of people work on this, a small group, so that we wouldn't violate the open meeting law. Revise this, circulate it by email, so people can read it and weigh in on it, so that we're not doing this, because this would take another 2 hours really,
no,
to go through. But I'm just suggesting that if we can continue down this path, but I see us eating up an enormous amount of time just to get through, editing this.
on this paper.
This was sent around, you sent this around a while ago,
I did,
so here we are. We're almost there.
okay.
We're at Article 3. If we could just. And you all, and I'm gonna be nudging my cousin, you're only gonna get 2 times to speak,
Okay,
okay? 2 times, and that's it. And that way we can move the meeting
On each article.
on each article.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, everybody has spoken twice.
Each article, not each section.
And Carl.
Each article.
I'm listening, I'm taking notes.
you got all your stacked up.
Yeah.
Saved up, okay.
So is there any more discussion on Article 3? Go ahead, Veronica.
I just
Oh.
need clarification, so I understand what you guys are asking me to do. So in Article 3, Section 3, where it talks about quorum, was there a consensus of being more clear
No,
on that, or you're okay with the language as is?
yes.
Okay, all right. And my second
Could you
clarification,
repeat what that is?
Section 3, quorum.
Not the whole section, just the part about the numbers and majority and so.
Yeah, because I thought, yourself or someone was saying that was confusing
Right,
when it says, but a
but
lesser
then he
number.
pointed out that it says the majority of those present.
Okay, so that was my next question. So Section 5, manner of voting, that's where that gets clear.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
Can we move on to Article 4? No? Okay. We've already spoken twice. I'm just kidding. She's looking like, girl.
I'll be like this, I'll listen.
Can we move on to Article 4? Thank you.
Okay, so please familiarize yourself with Article 4. Take a couple of minutes to look at it. And then we'll see if we're all in consensus or not. If there's things that we want to make adjustments to before we finalize.
Okay.
Ms. Pickett and then Mr. Ing.
So for section 1, I feel like the last 2 paragraphs should be moved to, Article 3, Section 4. Because it is discussing absences again. I felt like that was repetitive. That's just my opinion. And then for Article 4, Section 2, I just wanted to second what Commissioner English had said earlier about where do we find these standing committees? I didn't see them in the ordinance. I could be.
I just made them.
Oh. Just, okay, fine. Thanks.
Were you finished?
Yes.
Taking a look at, Article 4, Section 2, I was looking to just kind of strike that whole thing and then move Section 3 up to Article 2. Because it kind of, explains a little bit better, exactly, what special commissions are, and you know what I mean? I do have a question about, the inclusion of non-commission members. I think that should be stricken out. I don't think we should have, committees may include non-commission members, such as committees will report to designated standing committee. I don't mind that, but I don't think we should have, non-committee members in our,
Okay. If we,
in our special committee. If everybody kind of understands exactly what I just said.
right,
Jack.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to ask then, because we have the outside committees in Section 4, so are we referring, like, are these individuals who would be representatives for someone that can't make it to the commission? And is that what that's referring to then?
well, so like even within this, going back to compensation too, I don't want to jump ahead. So say, there's a reparations meeting in Rochester. And we're saying who's available out of the commission to go on our behalf. We send Jamila down there. So we're gonna say, we're gonna send Jamila down there to speak on behalf of the St. Paul Recovery Act Reparations Commission. And she also should receive a stipend for that. So I think that's kind of more of what that's talking about. Going to, it says outside committees, but I don't think it should say outside committees. It should say something else.
Jack.
Ms. Robbins?
For special committees, when we talk about having non-commission members, were you thinking like an expert? If we're having special conversation and maybe we call Dr. Williams or someone else to come in and help us work through an issue that has a level of expertise that we don't have.
Okay.
I'm aligned with that.
Are we talking about, standing committees or ad hoc committees?
I would say ad hoc committees, but I think if we need like an expert, that they could just come in and talk to us
Yeah.
and give us a presentation as opposed to them like actually sitting on a committee.
So the ad hoc wouldn't actually be part of the commission. Just dealing with the specific issue.
Right. If that's correct, what Nick is saying, then you're absolutely right. We can always have, a professional come in and kind of speak to commission, but definitely we should be taking out that language when it comes down to, special committees and non-committees members sitting on reparations commissioners, sitting in reparations commission special meeting.
Stack.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, when I read this, my interpretation of that as far as, again, because it's a special committee, I don't know if we're gonna have any standing committees at all that we actually create. I'm still unclear, and I know that after we finish this article. But, for special committees, I always think of something that is like almost a project-based committee. So say there's something that needed to be done and it's gonna take like 3 or 4 meetings, or we need to have it done in 6 months. And so having someone a part of that for that 6 months, and they may be an expert, it may not be just a presentation, that's always helpful, but as that ongoing piece, as we are pulling together what it is that we need to have, then they will be able to provide that, and then that would be it. That would be the.
I think that, we will be able, and I don't want to jump, into anything. But I think we should be able to decide that when it comes down to special committees, we should be able to go into subcommittees, you know, where, for example, not necessarily just us as a group being, you know, tied to one situation for 6 months. You know what I mean? I think we should spread our, you know, the special committees is more of a spread out of different committees that we looking into. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be jumping again. I don't want to be jumping anything, Nyla, but what I'm saying is it's just important that non-commissioned members, they, you know, they stay exactly where they are. You know what I mean? And commissioners stay exactly, you know, we have that designated difference.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And sitting on a special commission as a non-member wouldn't give you that difference.
We got Cooley and then,
I do wanna, just say again, this is a rough draft and we are not this was just Ray's suggestion. And that we need to try to keep it to either what language you want to change. If you have the language you want to change, make sure that Veronica understands what language that is so that we're not getting into the weeds of things that we really don't need to discuss because we're not there yet.
so do you want to strike section 2? And I think Jamila.
Oh, the first one I said?
Yeah,
The last two sentences of section 1 being moved to section or article 3, section 4. Let's see what it says. The last two articles. 3.
Yeah.
3, section 4.
So much that I just want to go back to what I originally said, which was, I was saying, you know, there's no need for, you know, Article 4, Section 2, there's no need for Section 2. And I think we should put Section 3, we should move that to Section 2. So that was what I originally said. I just want to go back to what I originally said.
Is everybody okay with removing section 2?
I'm staff. I guess I'm not clear because are we going to determine at a later point in time if we are actually going to have committees? And if so, then we would just amend it as opposed to just establishing the committees that we kind of know are kind of the basic, again, those overarching components. We're going to have somebody on policy. We're going to have somebody on community engagement. We're going to have somebody on, you know, there's different pieces that can actually exist as far as our committees. And then from there, that's when the special committees would come up, or we could develop another standing committee. So it's kind of weird to not have committees for things to work on.
so the ordinance, after we finish this, and I don't want to move ahead, but our next pass is going to be developing our work plan.
Mhm.
And I think once we develop our work plan, we'll understand what kind of committees that we're going to need.
Okay.
And so I think that will kind of help decide if we need standing committee, if we need a standing, or what the special kind of committees would be. And so, again, going back to the powers and duties is to make short-term, medium, and long-term recommendations on how to close the racial wealth gap. And so there's going to be certain committees that some of us are going to want to sit on. And I don't think we should just be bound. Like if we say, okay, you're the chair of this commission chair right now.
Right.
So let's get through the work. I would say once we get through the work plan, that will determine what committees that we're gonna do.
Okay.
And start creating ordinance. Like that. So for like this one says outreach committee, the LAC, we didn't do outreach. You know, in the city, we're gonna have help with doing outreach from the city of St. Paul, things like that. From my experience.
Right.
Okay.
So,
If I'm correct, there wasn't an education standing committee either.
No.
So I think that all of this language,
that's not what I'm saying, though.
but it's part of the language, you know what I mean? So that's why I say this language shouldn't even be in here, and we should be able to, a work plan would be able to establish that, but I'm just advising that this language, it didn't even have anything to do with the LAC, so we should be able to move this language off, off the draft and take section 3 and just move to section 2.
Ray, what was your thinking behind?
Like I said, at some point, and I think this goes to your question, we're gonna need some standing committees. Question is, when do we develop them? We don't have to develop them in this document, just like, I think that's what the chair was saying.
Mhm.
That's just perfectly fine.
Mhm.
And so, in my mind, we could delete this.
Right.
This gave us something to chew on. We might hold that and talk about it when we get to that conversation. But it makes perfect sense to me what you're saying to, let's delete section 2 language, move up part from section 3 or whatever that you want there and move forward. I really think this is a general document, and that's the other reason why I didn't want to spend a ton of time on it.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
we haven't, the work plan is going to be the thing that guides what we're doing, and we're not there yet. We gotta get past this to get there.
Come on,
Mr. Khalid?
I'm wondering if we can just remove the number 3 standing committees and say establish standing committees as needed. And then, add ad hoc committees. Rather than to just.
That's what I was trying to say, so.
I mean, everybody has.
Yeah.
Committees.
Mhm.
It is set, but section 3 does say special committees with a specific assignment made from time.
But that would be determined by us.
Right.
We could call it a special committee or just a committee, whatever name we, want to put on it.
Right.
But I would think that we would want some committee.
Yep.
Language.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get called before, but it's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, to reinforce what colleague just said, we can call them whatever we want. In Asheville, they don't deal with this committee language. They call them work groups.
Either, same thing.
Exactly.
But it's
Except
still-
that now you're talking about what it does, it works.
Would that, oh, we're not.
Just that.
Okay, so are we okay with getting rid of section 2?
Yes.
Okay, you got that, Veronica?
Completely strike
Completely strike
section
section 2.
2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if we do that, then I'll be persnickety now. Get my hairs down on my. Then for section 3, as we move that to section 2, then we would need to eliminate the last sentence in section 3.
Yes.
So because it references standing committees, and so we don't.
Yeah.
You got that, Veronica? Last sentence in section 3. Remove it, yeah. Are we ready for Article 5?
Stack. And I just want to confirm that, I just want to emphasize that in section 3, the language of the non-committee members having an opportunity to sit on special committees, I think that it's no-go. We can always have somebody come in and talk to us, but I think that would be a no-go and I just want to leave that there too.
That could just be a language change. Veronica, you get that? Instead of sit, they can present.
Yes.
Or advised.
Advise.
Okay, what section is
Section
3?
3. Article 4.
Okay,
Line
Right.
4, line
Right.
4.
oh, okay, the original section. The section 3 that turned to section 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Article 4, section 3, special committee. It says, special committees may include
line.
non-commission members.
So change
So
it.
we're changing that language. It says, special committee may include non-commission members.
Okay, to say what?
Advise.
Advise,
May include.
special
May
committee,
advise.
may advise.
They advise, okay, gotcha.
So our
Are we done with Article 4? All right, Article 5. That's the last thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Almost. And please, take some time to familiar yourself with Article 5. And then we'll see if
You
it's
sure?
consensus.
You be like, are we done yet? We're on Article 7. No, that's how you. Let me read.
We have less than 15 minutes.
Yeah, less than 15 minutes.
So we can-
Jim has to say all these things.
But, we don't.
Oh, which one?
Section 1.
Okay, of the amendment.
You want to add to it, better use all.
Yes. Mm. This is.
Yeah, sorry, it's not, yeah. Here, it's up here.
But we won't have to.
We already voted on that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Or what?
On Robert's rules.
No.
That's
No,
the
that's
interim,
for-
before we do the bylaws.
So yeah, I don't even think, I think it's
No, I meant to discuss it as an article. We already voted that we were gonna use.
just for this meeting.
Oh, we're just gonna.
I mean,
use
just as we're fleshing out the Bible.
Okay.
Then, so let's, I think we can say,
You got your.
let's just get
Yeah.
section 5. Second. Okay. So has everybody had a chance to review section 5? Any discussions, any conversations about Article 5?
That,
Yes, sir.
no, this is just like editing. If in fact,
This is fine.
there's a desire, oh, you're on 5, never
Yeah,
mind.
we're not there.
Sorry.
No, I looked up and I saw the other thing, but no, I have nothing to say. I take it back.
Are we all in agreement? Right, okay. We want to consider Article 6 today, or
Might as well, Ron was there. Article
Yeah,
7.
yeah.
So Article 5 stays as is.
Yeah.
Article 5. Good. Okay, so Article 6.
Just point of information, this copy does not have the change that I sent you an email. This was, Joseph's recommendation to use permanently the Democratic Rules of
Yes.
Order. So if there's anything you want to speak to.
No, I mean, it's just, yeah. There are, what are they called? Planning councils in the city that are using this. And if you looked at Robert's Rules of Order, it's about 10 times this size. That's all it is. I'm not convinced that your simplified rules of order and cheat sheet is not the equivalent of this. This does have, and I'm gonna shut up, I think some really nice guidance generally on running these kinds of meetings. That's all.
And so is that something we have to decide right now, or do we want to take time to look at both of them? Or
Sorry.
Ms. Pickett?
So I pressed that link and it just had a link
It's a
to the book.
Page, yeah.
Yeah, and so I just didn't have enough time to even be able to have an opinion about that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think we're in a good place right now. And, so if we can just look at that, like, because I know a lot of us are going to be going on to different commissions and different boards and stuff, and a lot of them are going to be using Robert's rules. So it's good for us to know that and understand it, but if we feel like this can help us move quicker. So if you guys are okay with tabling, just that's something we can look at the next meeting. You guys are okay.
Stat, this is my second turn and I really won't take another one.
Okay.
I'm done. No, but this is maybe a little procedural thing that we can use going forward where something like this, which might come up later. And maybe other people have done this in other commissions or things that they've done, parking lot. It's another way of just saying table it. In other words,
Yeah.
it's not gone. We're just not gonna deal with it right now.
Yeah.
Because there've been a number of comments that have come up, which were technically out of order, but they probably will be relevant at some point in time.
Agreed.
So you want to capture it.
Yeah.
You know, for the record, but that's not what we're doing right now.
Agreed. And then there's committees for that too. That's another way. Right.
Committees, you said?
What about this last section?
Um,
The amendment?
section, that's Article 7.
As staff, we're going to Article 7.
Mhm.
I just wanted to mention with the parking lot that you mentioned, I would like to add to the parking lot, the standing committees that we can revisit at some point after, we discuss them further to see if we wanted to add these at a later time.
All right, are we all in agreement with where we're at on the bylaws right now? Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Ray.
I would
He's like, okay.
put a motion, I would like to put a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, meeting is adjourned. Hey, great job.
I know. What we supposed to do?
I thought we had something else.
I'm sure we had other things.
I knew we did.
So you tabled the next. No, we don't, just the next meeting. That was it. So no, everything done. This is just extra reading materials for you.
Like I need it.
So we'll stop.
Okay.
Next is Vista.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll definitely start working on our
I see that book.
work plan.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In
So
fact,
is there a website or something where people can go to and?
it's called Amazon.
Oh, you gotta get the actual book.
I got to watch YouTube videos.
Okay. So what I would recommend you go to the library and they have a copy machine and you take that machine and you copy. And then you make copy here,
Keep it.
scan
I was
it,
gonna say,
and send that out to
the other
us.
thing you can do is, I just Googled it, and there are documents out here that tell you like, these are the comparisons between Roberts.
Oh, okay.
I just did it when we were just sitting here.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just do a
Yeah,
comparison
yeah,
of the two,
that's a
say,
good
Google,
point.
like, difference between Robert's
Yeah.
rules and Democratic rules,
Uh-huh.
and it
And I'm
comes
trying
right
to
up.
afford paper, I've been really.
Easy.
All right, well,
Easy. Google's your best friend. Google tells you everything.
I don't know. Well, how does this go?
All right, well,
Meeting.
Kinda.
We couldn't do the calculator. Look it up. And open up.
Look like, no, we gonna
read it and write it
now, today.
Google kids doing schoolwork, and that's Google.
And
Google that
YouTube.
up.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my goodness.
That up.
Got coworkers like,
Hey,
I know how to do that. And that software is not that hard.
I
to
gotta
do.
get it.
Yeah, like, teach me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what, bump you. I'm looking up on
Yeah, got
YouTube.
Okay, we
Google
got.
and YouTube and everything, it's all out there.
Okay, let me see.
I've never heard of
My
it.
toilet, the
Oh, yeah.
bulb and all
How
that.
do I stop this?
And my
Everything.
fire alarm thing. I'm like, okay.
It is.